So, and I tell my story because I want people to know it's
Mm-hmm.
possible. Healing is possible, but it takes both ends to do the
Yes.
work. Even if I did something wrong, I went and did work to reflect on, okay, why you not talking to your kid? That's your kid. She
Mm-hmm.
came out of you. That's your baby. And I had to do some healing work, and she had to do some healing work on her own as well. And I decided to go no contact with my
Okay.
mom. So, and it was for my mental
Mm-hmm.
health as well. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression back in 2018. So I was going through a whole lot of stuff, and I had to unpack a lot of things. I had to get to the root of a lot of things, and one of those was with my relationship with my mom because we never had the best relationship.
I'm joined by Shawnti Refuge, also known as Journal Bay, the founder of Mothering in the Dark, a support group created for mothers experiencing one of the most painful family dynamics, estrangement from their children. Shanti's work comes from her unique perspective of having lived estrangement from both sides, first going no contact with her own mother and later experiencing the heartbreak of one of her children when they stopped speaking to her. Through Mothering in the Dark, she's created what she couldn't find in her own moment of need, a safe and brave space where mothers can process their grief without shame. Her work is helping women navigate the complex emotions of loving someone who isn't ready to come home. So, thank you so much, Shanti, for being here today. I'm really honored that you're here taking time out to talk about such a difficult discussion and topic. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
And I'd love to just start with your journey, which I know has been filled with pain, but also you have repurposed that in healing, not only for yourself, but helping others. And I know that you've experienced estrangement from both sides. How did those experiences help you understand what estrangement looks like and how to heal through that?
The first experience of estrangement I had was my oldest daughter stopped talking to me, and I just thought it was okay. She going through something. She'll be back. Maybe she need to go find her way. And I think that lasted about 2 years, maybe. Maybe a little longer. I don't know. But I just, I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, okay, all right. You know how when kids think they grown because of a number,
Mm-hmm.
age number. So I was like, all right, she'll be back. And she did come back, and it was when she had her first
Okay.
baby. So, oh, you need your
Mm-hmm.
mama now. But I was here, open arms. You know, I got it. I understood. Because it was both of our. We needed to do some healing on both ends, so it wasn't like a
Yeah.
blame thing. And then I I went no contact with my young. I chose to go no contact with my youngest daughter for my
Okay.
mental health. We had a tumultuous relationship, and it was either go to jail or go to
Mhm.
jail, basically, on my end. And that's how bad it
Yeah.
had gotten because I just felt like, she wasn't safe to be around. I wasn't safe around her, and she damn sure wasn't safe
Mhm.
around me. So, I sent her to her dad, and she was a
Okay.
teenager then. And we were estranged for like seven
Wow.
years. It took 7 years for to come full circle. And during that 7 years, like, there was no contact. Like when I say no contact, maybe 98%
Mhm.
no contact, maybe a text here and there. And during that process, I did try, and reach out to her, but she
Yeah.
wasn't ready yet. So, and it came a time where, she became ready, and she actually contacted me last
Okay.
May and was like, I want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, okay, we get to talk now. I was ready, and it seemed like she was ready. And, we had our come to
Mhm.
Jesus. It was, Mom, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I shouldn't have did this, and this, and I admit what I did, and I was like, okay, I forgive you, and I apologize for my part I played, and we've been tight ever since.
That's wonderful.
So, and I tell my story because I want people to know it's
Mm-hmm.
possible. Healing is possible, but it takes both ends to do the
Yes.
work. Even if I did something wrong, I went and did work to reflect on, okay, why you not talking to your kid? That's your kid. She
Mm-hmm.
came out of you. That's your baby. And I had to do some healing work, and she had to do some healing work on her own as well. And I decided to go no contact with my
Okay.
mom. So, and it was for my mental
Mm-hmm.
health as well. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression back in 2018. So I was going through a whole lot of stuff, and I had to unpack a lot of things. I had to get to the root of a lot of things, and one of those was with my relationship with my mom, because we never had the best relationship. And I would always say I'm the oldest child, so the oldest one is the one, the first kid, that's the one you mess up on. You make all your mistakes with that one, and then when you have another one, you do a little better, and then when you have another one, and so on and so forth. And that's how I really felt, in my situation. I'm the oldest of three. And I chose I when I first started my healing journey, my assignment from my therapist was to go and talk to everyone who you feel wronged you or hurt you in any way. And my mom was one of them. And because during childhood, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. I
Mm-hmm.
will say that. But we didn't have any emotional. It was like we were all numb robots. No, I love you, no
Mm-hmm.
hugs, no
Okay.
none of that. And so I didn't realize. I thought that was normal. I thought it was normal. And so when I would see people hugging, I was like, why are y'all doing
Mm-hmm.
that? Like, we don't do that. Why y'all doing it? So, and then I had to learn, yes, you were supposed to be emotionally connected. And, that was one of the things that I talked to my mom about when, I got that assignment. And, it didn't go so well. So, I still, okay, that's your mama. And I used to have this thought that, okay, that's your mama. She can't do
Right.
no wrong. You have to do what she say, even though you're grown. That's still your mama. And then I quickly, no, we're
Right.
not doing that. So I went no contact with her for my mental health because she just wasn't getting it. I would come to her, I need this, I need you to do this, and it was never how she wasn't the mom I
Right.
needed her to be. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go into contact with you. And I did for about a
Okay.
year. And then she came back and was like, okay, let's start fresh. Life is too short, blah blah blah. Okay. And I
Mm-hmm.
accepted that, because I miss my mama. It was
Yeah.
very hard. People think, oh, going no contact is easy. It doesn't matter if you're the person going no contact or the person went no contact with you. That's hard and it hurts. So, especially when you are grieving someone who's still alive, you know. So, I decided to, reconnect with her, but hmm and I said, no, that's okay. And I had to come to terms with she's never going to be the mom you
Mm-hmm.
need. So I had to start reparenting myself. And although we are back in contact, I love her from afar.
And you needed that, I guess, as you were mentioning, and I want to go back to a point you said about grieving someone who's still alive, because the grief process, as you know, it's
Hmm.
like this continuum of good days, bad days, you're still sorting out your feelings. But when someone is still there, like maybe they're around the corner, maybe they're even in the same house and you're estranged, could you talk about how this type of grief differs from other losses? Perhaps someone, who might pass away, or a relationship that ends on a permanent basis.
It is very different than grieving someone who has passed away, because that person who's passed away, you don't get to see
Mm-hmm.
them again. You don't get to talk to them. You don't get to hug them, or, they're not a phone call away, but you're grieving someone who's literally still living, breathing, kicking, living their best life while you over here sad. So, and of course, when you are grieving someone who is a relationship that ends, you still gonna hear
Mm-hmm.
things. Oh, they doing this, or, oh, especially on social media, you get to see them smiling and cheesing like they don't care that your relationship
Right.
has ended, and you have to see that, and I always that hurts. It's like how, not that life don't go on because you're not in their
Mm-hmm.
life, it does, but when it's someone close to you like your mom, and it's like, you want her to come to your events, you want to go to their events, but you can't because it takes too much of a toll, and that hurts. That actually hurts. So, and that's one of the reasons why I started Mothering in the Dark, for that reason, because it is very painful to see people living their lives that you are connected to, and but you're not in their life like that. It's very hurtful.
When you were connecting back or reconnecting back with your mother, did you find in that healing process,
Hmm.
going back generations, was this something that had been a pattern? Have you got any sense of this is like a pattern generationally that had been within the family, sort of this disconnect or emotional disconnect that was happening?
I have no clue because my family does not
Mm,
talk. They don't talk about
okay.
anything. I'm the one. I've always been the one to, say, well, why this going on? Why this not going on? I'm the only one who does this. But, my grandmother, that was my mama. She talked to me. We had a very close relationship. But if I can think back, I don't remember her being that close to her
Okay.
daughters. She had three daughters. So, so maybe yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the work that you're
Hmm.
doing in Mothering in the Dark and what led you to come to the realization that you wanted to share your story and then also help others?
What we do in Mothering in the Dark is, it could be a mother who has been estranged from their child, or who chose to estrange from their child. It could be a grandmother who, or an auntie, whoever, a female, basically, who have no contact with a relative that they raised, basically. And the reason why, well, let me tell you what I did. What we do, we do work. It's not a come in a full circle once a week and say, "Oh, my kid ain't this," or that.
Right.
It's not that. We, we hold ourselves accountable. That is the number one rule in the circle: accountability. Because you had to play some kind of part for your kid not to be talking to you, or you had to play some kind of part for you to not be talking to your kid. So it's accountability. It is reflecting. We definitely are
Okay.
journaling. I have journal prompts to be like, "Oh my God, I don't know how to answer that."
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, you do. Answer it. It's coaching. It's all the things. And I started it because I ran across a post, and a lady said, she was asking, she put a picture up of her and her daughter, and she said, "Y'all pray for me. I haven't heard from my daughter in 2 years. She quit talking to me, and I don't know why. I know she's fine through, other family members, but she just refuses to talk to me, and I need prayers." And I was reading the comments, and most of the comments, of course, were, "What did you do? You had to do something." So, it was
Mm-hmm.
negative. And it's not always the case. Sometimes it is the case that the mom did something that they shouldn't have done, or said something that they shouldn't have done, but it's not like that 100% of the time. It's not
Mm-hmm.
black and white at all. And, a lot of the comments were, "Oh, we're going to pray for you." And then I ran across one comment that said, "This is happening so often. We need a support group for this." And like my light bulb came on. It was like, huh,
Yes.
okay, yes, I would do that. And that's when I started Mothering in the Dark. And it welcomes any mom, any age, to come and tell their story. And we go through, the what, when, where, why, how, who, and what we're gonna do about it now. Because we're not gonna sit in here and just keep telling the same story over and over. What are we doing to better ourselves, even if reconciliation doesn't happen? So I get them prepared. Just because you're doing your healing work, don't mean they're gonna talk to you. Even, but I'm letting you know that it is possible because I am a product from all
Mm-hmm.
three sides. You know, it healing work. When you do the work, you know, reconciliation is possible. So, we do a 12-step program, kind of like AA, but I follow a model similar to that I created, especially for this type of environment. And we do, like I said, we do journaling, we do affirmations, we do hot seat coaching, where I take you and pull you out front and center, and I'm gonna coach you in
Mm-hmm.
front of everybody who is in the room for the same reason, because I want people to know that you are not alone. A lot of people think because they're going through something that they're going through it by themselves, like nobody else's kid is quit talking to them, or nobody else had to cut off their kid, and it releases the harm and the shame and the guilt of having to go through that, because we don't judge, we don't criticize, we don't do. I will kick
Mm-hmm.
you out in a minute, the minute I think you judging somebody.
Yeah.
Do that in here, because it's bad enough that society does that to us. So in here, you're safe to say, I wouldn't this, or my kid did without blame, and yeah, it's rough. It's rough out there, so that's why I bring them into private safe space. I am big on
Mm-hmm.
safe spaces.
Already getting that from so many sides, and the guilt and the shame
Exactly.
that's being piled
Hmm.
upon them. And I appreciate the point that you made about
Hmm.
accountability and really helping individuals build an identity
Hmm.
outside of just whatever that relationship is. Because as you mentioned,
Yes.
you might reconcile, right?
Hmm.
And I've worked with individuals where sometimes, as you talked about, the reconciliation doesn't come till years later. And so if you're just doing the work
Right.
with that end goal in mind, then you're not really truly healing, because you're just focused on, I need to get this back to what it
Exactly.
was.
Exactly.
Yes. What sort of work do you
Yeah.
do in the work that you're doing with people, helping them understand that the relationship might look different? You might come back together, you might reconcile, but now there might be new expectations. How do you prepare them for that piece?
Oh, we go over
Mhm.
boundaries. It is important that they respect their kids' boundaries, even if they don't agree with them. That's their kid's life. And, even though you are a mama, auntie, matriarch, whatever you were in their lives, they don't want you in that position anymore. And you have to respect that. You can't think you're going to go through this program and then go back to doing what you were doing to get estranged
Mhm.
to begin with. It doesn't work like that, you know, because I know I grew up in, I'm the mama always
Right.
right era. And that's
Mhm.
not true. That is absolutely not true. And, I let them know, your kids have feelings. Your kids' feelings are important. Their feelings matter as well. So I'll be sure to let them know, no boundaries. We're not crossing boundaries. And I will never tell them to go call your daughter. Nope. Go call your son. Nope, I'm not doing that. That's not what the purpose of this program is. It's for them to accept their place in the world, whether or not their child reconnects or not.
And
Because sometimes we hold on to being a mom's
the identity
identity.
part.
And, you are more than
Mhm.
a mom.
Helping them to
Mm-hmm.
see that that role is important, but again, that work, it extends beyond just that role of being a parent. How
Exactly.
does journaling, because I love journaling. I started journaling. My mom gave me my first journal at like 8, and I've always just loved to write. How do you use journaling in the work that you're doing?
Maybe that's first
Mhm.
and foremost. I will throw a prompt at you in a minute. Because, you know, we have our thoughts lie to us. That's first. Our thoughts do lie to us. I've learned. I had to learn that myself going through my own
Mhm.
healing journey. I would think one thing, thinking it's the truth because it's me thinking it, but no, our
Yeah.
thoughts lie to us. And I learned that through guided journaling specifically. It keeps you focused, and as long as a person is open and honest with their answer, it can reveal a lot of things they didn't even think were capable or existed. But we journal. Yes, we journal. I have my client. We meet on Mondays. I have my clients in there journaling. We were talking about identifying estrangement. Like, what is
Mhm.
estrangement? And after that, those journal prompts I threw at them is like, oh, okay, I didn't think of
Right.
it as this, but yeah, it just helps you to gain more clarity and understanding and be more honest because when you put pen to paper, and I require that pen to paper. I don't do
Okay.
the digital. I want your hand moving with a pen in it, and it whenever you start writing, that stuff becomes real and things come out that you didn't even know were
Hmm.
inside of you. And that's the importance of guided journaling. So that's why I use it. That's like my number one tool. That and then
Yes.
affirmations.
And I can imagine too, with journaling and people are starting to open up things, old wounds, things that they didn't want to deal with. Now they're dealing with it. How or what support or advice would you give to people who are afraid to really sort of open up that bag and start diving into things that they just wanted to throw in the closet and sort of not address?
That's exactly how I
Hmm.
used to be. I would bury, 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 bury until I couldn't bury it no more and I had a nervous breakdown. That was the effect of me keeping stuff to myself that I needed to
Hmm.
get out. I do not recommend you hold on to it, and I do not recommend that you do it alone because
Yeah.
you don't have to. A lot of us want to think we could do it by ourselves because I thought at the beginning of my healing journey, oh, I could do it by myself. I don't need nobody. I think I made myself
Hmm.
worse. It is important to get around community. And when I say community, people think their community or their support system is their good girlfriend from kindergarten or their cousin. No, that's not your support system. Your support system is someone who has been where you are, has overcome it, come through it, whatever the case might be, or are educated in that area, who can help you to navigate through those hard times because there are going to be some hard times. This process, it doesn't matter what you're healing from. That is ugly. It is very ugly. It is very painful, and it will make you want to quit.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's enough. I don't want to do this no more. I'll just go back to being
Mhm.
toxic. But you have to. I recommend you have a support system, someone who can help you get through those
Yes.
hard times, because you're
Yep.
gonna need it.
And sometimes family, friend, I mean, they serve a role, they serve a place, but sometimes they're too close to it, right? And it's like they're giving advice and now we're
Exactly.
confused. And so it's nothing wrong. I love what you were saying about seeking out that additional community, professional support, people who have been through the
Mhm.
experience that can offer that as mentorship, coaches and so forth, because it can get overwhelming. You might feel prepared like you said, but then you start really diving into things. And you speak a little bit to this, where perhaps people have reconciled, things are going great, now it's like this honeymoon phase, like everything's perfect, and then they hit that wall again. What sort of work do you do around that? Because I'm imagine that happens often too.
That happens because we're excited, we in love
Hmm.
again. Yes, the honeymoon phase is real. And then is okay, something comes up that you don't like or they don't like, and you know, okay, I just got her back. I don't want to make her
Yeah.
mad. We talk about all that too. We're not walking on
Hmm.
eggshells. It's about being honest and being, vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable and transparent. And if, your kids say, okay, you ain't been in my life for 13 years, I need $13,000. And you go and scrimp and pull out your retirement and give it to them out of guilt. No,
That's
no, we
Yep.
don't do that. I talk about all of that because it's going to happen. It is definitely going to happen. No.
And
So I show them how to, navigate through those different types of scenarios because something like that is
yeah,
going to come up. And you don't want to stepping back into a reconciliation on eggshells. That ain't
yeah.
going to last. But that's why I keep the group open. So you can come back. Okay, Shanti, this happened. I don't know what to do. Okay, let's journal about it. Let's talk about it. How did it make you feel? What happened? What they asked for?
Hmm.
All of that. We
So they
address
can
all of
come
that.
back. They might say, "Hey, Shanti, I got this. Me and Mama is going, to Red Lobster, and we gonna have fun, and everything's good." And then something blows up, they can come back and continue to maintain that connection. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. My door is always open. Always. I'm always here to help.
I love for you to tell people.
I don't care if you went through the program, you're done. Come be, you got a problem, email me. That's what I
Mhm.
tell all my clients, even the ones who aren't in the mothering in the dark. I have one-on-one coaching and I do support groups with
Okay.
Sharewell as well. And I let them know if you need me,
Mhm.
contact me. And people they're so used to people saying that all the time that they don't
Yeah.
believe it. No, I'm serious.
Mhm.
Email me, DM me. You know how to get in contact with me. If you don't contact me, you try to do this on your own, that's
Yeah.
your own fault. Because I told you to come. I'm here, and they don't want to feel like a
Mhm.
burden. And I tell people all the time, if I didn't mean it, I wouldn't say it. I want you to come back. If you feel like you need help getting through a specific situation, come on. Talk to me. Let's work through it. I'm here.
Yes, and that support is needed because the excitement, like you said, sometimes it just gets to be too much, and they need that wraparound help, when things go left again, which happens in all of our relationships, right? No relationship is perfect, especially when you have a
Right.
fractured relationship
Exactly.
already, just being aware of that. I love for you to spend some time. First, I want to thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable. I know that even though you're
Thank
doing
you.
this work, it still can be hard sometimes, to start talking about things that may have been challenging. So, thank you for sharing your story and also being uplifting to others in their time of need. And I'd love for you to talk about where people can find you, how they can connect with you, and all that great stuff.
Well, again, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Um, you can find me on my website, ShawntiRefuge.com. That website has everything you need to know about me. I have my book. I wrote a book based on my healing journey. It's called Quiet is Kept. And I talk about how I went through all the traumas I went through and what kind of person I was before the healing journey and how I turned out after. I talk about all of that in that book, and I use that as a guide. It's not about me
Yeah.
anymore. Like I never thought I would find my purpose. This is my purpose. It took me to have a nervous breakdown to help me find my purpose. And I thank God
Hmm.
for it because I love what I do and I don't hide anything. I'm an open book, transparent. I always tell people if you want to know something, you can ask, but you better be ready for the answer because sometimes they're not ready for the answer. Tell you the answer, just to help
Right.
someone else. My biggest thing is to not make them feel like
Mhm.
they're alone. You are not alone, girl. I did this, and this. What's
Right.
your
And
excuse?
no
You know,
judgment.
and so you can find me on there.
Mhm.
Right, absolutely no judgment. There's already what 8 billion people out here in this world judging. So don't judge yourself, and I'm not
Yes.
gonna judge. It is what it is. We're not. Nobody's perfect. But I'm on socials. I'm on YouTube. I have a podcast called The Quiet is Kept Podcast, where I talk about all the stuff that we
Mhm.
ain't talking about. You want to hear something that we ain't supposed to be talking about? Come listen to my podcast. I'm talking about it. And it's not that I'm just offering, that platform. It's educational, it's motivational, transformational, and I let people know. I always tell my side of the story. Like, I went through this. I did this. Yes, I did this. But now I do this. So, and I always have my receipts because people love to, think that you making up stuff. Nope.
Yeah.
Receipts. I have receipts on everything. And, if I haven't been through it, I can't help you through it. I always say that. I
Yeah.
teach from, even though I have learned experience, I also have lived experience. And if I don't
Mhm.
feel like I'm qualified enough to help you through something, being that I haven't gone through it, I will refer you to someone else. So, I do one on one coaching, I do an assessment first
Okay.
to even see, because I don't want to waste your time or mine,
Mhm.
and it's called Staying Stuck Ain't Cute Coaching. And that's about us being stuck, whether it's stuck in life, love, work, anything like that. And I'm everywhere, girl. Just go to my website, you'll find me. It's not hard to find me. And I'm in Houston, Texas, and I do a lot of
Okay.
in-person events as well. I have a gospel bingo
Okay.
coming up. Thought that would be fun to do something different And in there, the purpose of that is to, highlight how gospel music really helped me through my
Mm-hmm.
healing process. I used to always say, when I would listen to like a pastor or whoever speak, I didn't get nothing out of it. But when I heard that music, okay, now I
Yeah.
understand. So, that's the point of the gospel bingo to, talk about that and to highlight some other projects I have coming up. And, I love collaborations. I love everything. I have been, I do collaborations from anywhere, mental health workshops to teen pregnancy events because I was a teen
Mm-hmm.
mom as well. So if I've been there, done that, I'm your girl. I'm your girl to
Yes.
connect with. So yeah, you can find me on ShawntiRefuge.com.
Well, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule, just being here to, as I said, share your story. And I want to leave the floor open for you to leave any last words with those people who might be on the fence about starting this journey and maybe are just at the beginning of navigating a painful journey of estrangement. What words would you say to them or want them to know?
You are not alone. You do have resources out there. It is up to you. Nobody can force you to start your healing journey. I can't fix you. Nobody can fix you. It's up to you to do it yourself, but you are worthy of the healing that you deserve. No, we were not put on this earth to survive. This is our thriving
Mm-hmm.
season, especially now. Step into your pain,
Yeah.
deal with it. You're not by
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And you are worthy and you deserve all of this. You deserve it. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healed. You deserve to be healthy. But it's up to you to take
Yes,
advantage
I
of that.
always tell people you can only control what you can control. And so there's going to be things in our life that we
Exactly.
can't take over and control. Focus on what you can control in your life and your happiness. And I appreciate that that's what you're doing for others and helping them find that happiness and that their
Yeah,
life might look a little bit different than maybe what they envisioned, but they can still find happiness in their stories. So thank you so
that's
much,
right.
Shanti, for being here today.
Exactly.
Definitely we'll have you back on. I know you're going to keep on releasing new things and helping folks and all of that great
Yes,
stuff.
ma'am. Thank
So
you.
we'll see you back in a couple of weeks, everyone. Thank you.